What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the real reason why Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax weren't at Clash of Champions, Nia Jax actually being upset with the WWE, The Undertaker hints at a return, an update on Angel Garza and what was supposed to happen last night, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Hell in a Cell is official. The WWE has made it official that the 2020 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view will take place on 25th October. The pay-per-view was announced last night right before the main event, and while no matches have been listed, the event will take place in the Thunderdome. Although the WWE's contract with the Amway Center is expected to end in October, the promotion could stay there if it decides against promoting live shows with paying fans elsewhere. Next up is Randy Orton being written off television. Randy Orton got a savage beating at the hands of WWE Champion Drew McIntyre at Clash of Champions ambulance match, with Drew ending the match by punt kicking Orton in the head. Now fans are wondering whether or not the Legend Killer is getting some time off. Well, not according to Ringside News' Steve Carrier, who tweeted, "Randy Orton lost a wild match at WWE Clash of Champions, right? We've been asked if he's written off television with that finish. We've been told that Orton won't miss any time at all. He's heavily figured into the plans." Ringside News also reported that the much-discussed Randy Orton vs Edge Last Man Standing match, tentatively set for WrestleMania 37, is no longer a lock. Could it be that Edge has suffered a setback in his recovery, or is there another reason for this? We'll have to see what happens next for Orton, and we can only hope the WWE gives Orton at least a week or two to sell his beating. Next up is The Undertaker Returning. The Undertaker seemed to be putting the last nail in his career coffin during the Last Ride documentary, where he said he hung up his boots, although he did preface his comments with a "never say never" line. That was mere months ago, and there's already talk of the Phenom stepping back into the ring. During a video chat with IGN about the new video game WWE Battlegrounds, Taker commented on a fan's remark that Big Evil was his favourite version of The Undertaker. The dead man pointed out how The Undertaker at WrestleMania 36 was a combination of the classic Undertaker, the American Badass, and Big Evil, suggesting that when he does show up next, it will be as Big Evil. Does this mean Taker plans on returning to in-ring competition, or is he referring to special appearances? Wrestling retirements are known for being as reliable as a weather forecast, so is it any surprise fans might see The Undertaker return to the squared circle? Would you guys like to see Undertaker return as Big Evil? What did you think of that character in general? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up is Robert Roode returning to NXT. NXT TakeOver 31 is coming soon, and the WWE is hyping the return of a former NXT champion, leading to speculation as to who it might be. We recently discussed the possibility of Bo Dallas returning to the Black and Gold brand, but apparently there's another possibility: former NXT champion Robert Roode. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer speculated maybe Robert Roode is going to be the guy who shows up in NXT next Sunday. I mean, I figure it's going to be Bobby Roode or Bo Dallas. Roode was recently cleared to return following the travel restrictions caused by the pandemic that kept Canadian wrestlers out of the US. Roode might find more success on NXT than he has during his time on the main roster, but at what point does NXT become flooded with main roster stars, taking away opportunities for its rising ones? Next up, the real reason for the Clash of Champions absences. There were 3 notable absences at Clash of Champions, with the WWE revealing that Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler and Nikki Cross had not been medically cleared to compete. As a result, the WWE scrapped the Women's Tag Team Championship match and put Raw Women's Champion Asuka into Nikki Cross's position against SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. The WWE remarked that they are not medically cleared to compete, but that was just a mere cover to say that their absences are all coronavirus related. Sportskeeda is reporting that Jax, Cross and Baszler were in contact with a person who had COVID-19, and WWE made the call to play it safe and pull them from Clash of Champions. Dave Meltzer noted that he heard that at least one of the 3 stars mentioned above did not have COVID-19, and it could also be the case with 2 superstars from the group. However, there was no confirmation from his end. Unfortunately, Meltzer's report doesn't say much, and it bears mentioning that the WWE's policy of not revealing who has tested positive for coronavirus makes it unlikely fans will get any official confirmation. But whilst we're on the subject of Nia Jax, it appears that she is upset with WWE. as following the WWE's tweet announcing Shayna Baszler and Nikki Cross were not medically cleared, Jax tweeted lies. Jax wasn't finished though and revealed the real reason Baszler couldn't make it, tweeting, "My tag partner is expecting." The Queen of Spades clarified, "I'm expecting to die from a broken heart caused by the Vikings." No, Baszler wasn't talking about Eric and Ivar nor Vince McMahon's favourite television show Vikings, but the hapless NFL team, the Minnesota Vikings, which haven't won a game yet this season. We guess Nia Jax was having some fun with the dirt sheets. Next up, Steve Austin talks his first meeting with Brock Lesnar. Now, we have talked about Vince McMahon's first impression of Brock Lesnar, but what about Stone Cold Steve Austin, the WWE's top star at the time? During an episode of the Broken Skull Sessions, the Texas Rattlesnake told Kurt Angle, "I'll never forget the first time I saw Brock Lesnar. I heard a little bit about him. We were on fire. We were doing other things. The guy walks at the cafeteria and his traps and his big ass neck like yours, and he's like 6'4". I'm like, holy shit. He looks like $1 billion. And all of a sudden, he was that good." Regrettably, fans will never get to see a one-on-one match between Lesnar and Austin thanks to Vince McMahon's foolish request to have Austin put Lesnar over on Raw with no build-up. Austin wisely knew that such a dream match should be hyped and reserved for a pay-per-view, a decision McMahon disagreed with, and which led to Austin walking out on the WWE for several months. Next up, Kurt Angle's bold statement before leaving the WWE. Kurt Angle made a dynamic debut in the WWF in 1998, quickly becoming a multiple-time world champion and a perpetual main eventer. However, by 2006, the WWE's Olympic hero's body and spirit were broken, and he decided to leave. Speaking with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Broken Skull Sessions, Austin talked of a bold action he took to let the WWE know just how beat up his body was. "The day before I quit, I went into a production meeting. I walked up to the front where Vince and the people were. I pulled my pants down my knees. Balls are showing. Big black and blue marks all across my groin area, all the way down my hamstring, up to the groin and my stomach. I tore 3 muscles the night before at a house show. That night for Raw, I was supposed to do a triple threat ladder match. I just walked in and wanted Vince to see what was going on and why I'm so unhappy." Now, this led to Angle not returning to the WWE until 2017, when he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, taking on an on-air role as Raw General Manager and working occasional bouts. We gotta admit, pantsing yourself in front of the boss is a bold statement. Next up, an Angel Garza update. The Raw Tag Team Championship match between the Street Profits and challengers Andrade and Angel Garza was a fast-paced bout that saw the challengers dominate until the fluky finish where the referee counted Andrade's shoulders for a 3 count despite him clearly kicking out. As fans later found out, Angel Garza was injured in the match, prompting the fast finish. The details are a little sketchy about the nature of the lethal Lotharia's injury, but PW Insider is reporting a possible hip injury. Dave Meltzer added, "The first word I heard was a torn quad, which is not a good thing. There has been other talk that it might not be it, might be a lesser injury, might not be a quad, might be a hip, so I think in the morning we'll probably know more." And for those wondering who would have gone over, Dave Meltzer discussed this on the Wrestling Observer Radio. Just so people know, the Street Profits were in fact going to win this match. They were not going to change the title. The finish was not changed in that way. So after all, like you put Angel and Andrade back together again with no manager, they were still going to lose. Now, although Andrade and Garza looked fantastic, the rumor going around was that the WWE was still going ahead with its plans to split the talented team. Where things go on from here will depend on the severity of Angel Garza's injury. Next up, the WWE 2020 draft is official. Now, fans waiting for the WWE's annual draft won't have to wait long, as they have announced the dates for the event via Twitter. They tweeted, "The future is on the clock. The 2020 draft begins Friday, October 9th on SmackDown and continues Monday, October 12th on Raw." Now, last year's draft was seen as largely meaningless and pretty boring, but this year we'll hopefully see some changes to freshen up storylines and matchups. One draft to consider would be to move Otis to Raw, where he might have a better opportunity to utilize his Money in the Bank briefcase and reunite with his storyline girlfriend Mandy Rose. Are you guys looking forward to this year's draft? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, history has been made. Now, Clash of Champions The Gold Rush was a historic night for one WWE superstar as he won his 45th WWE Championship, making him the most decorated superstar in WWE history. According to a tweet from WWE Stats and Info, R-Truth is now a, wait for it, 40-time WWE 24/7 champion. His 45 title reigns are the most in WWE history for any superstar. Definitely a big congratulations on Truth to this big accomplishment. He may not have the longest WWE Championship reign like Bruno Sammartino or have the Honky Tonk Man's greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time moniker, but he's the most decorated man in WWE history. Little Jimmy must be proud. But there you have it guys, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.